Hello, and welcome to the Schmidt List, the podcast for people dedicated to managing successful projects, developing impactful products, and building engaged teams. And now, here's your host, Kurt Schmidt.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. On today's show, I'm talking to Wendy Wiesman, Senior Director of Brand and Engagement Marketing for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota. We try to answer the question, should marketing lead customer centricity, or should it come from leadership? We discuss this question along with other tips on how to best work with your internal marketing department and how to build internal empathy for your customer. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the show to learn more about upcoming episodes of the Schmidt List. And now, here's my conversation with Wendy. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I'd like to start hearing a little bit about how you ended up in marketing. I mean, was it part of a grand plan where you're at now? Or is it something that you kind of tripped and fell into? Because your current role as a senior director of marketing at Blue Cross and Blue Shield is obviously an important role, but was it something from a grand design?
Grand design, I don't know. I've always known that marketing is my passion and my sweet spot, so that's what I went to school for. And I'm an art minor by background, and I bring that to the top and surface because I think it speaks to where I feel my passion spot is relative to the entire marketing arena, and that is creative and storytelling and all of that great stuff. I think as a leader and as a person, it's hard for me not to see the big picture that just comes naturally, and that in many ways has led to leadership roles time and time again, sometimes without seeking them out.
Could you tell me a little bit about what your day-to-day or week-to-week is like in your current role?
Day-to-day, let's be real, it's tactical, tangible meetings focused on key strategies that our team is delivering against. So that might be anything from a brand strategy meeting where we're bringing to life a value prop for a sales team member, or it's talking about one-to-one engagement and how we get consumers to react to what we're putting out in front of them. What content can we bring to them that's compelling and straightforward? And then, of course, there might be an executive level meeting or two where I'm either sharing the work of the team or helping to communicate that long-term strategic vision or roadmap so that we can stay aligned on where we're headed as a marketing organization throughout the process. So each day is pretty similar in that it's pretty high energy, pretty intense, which I personally enjoy. And then week to week, sometimes we're doing deep dive sessions for 3 to 4 hours. And then sometimes we're just doing our day-to-day in combination with long-term planning.
How do you stay in touch with your peers and other divisions or departments? And what's kind of the cadence for you as a leader as you're working across divisions or departments within the organization? How do you stay in sync?
Great question. I have a really deliberate process there. I think team members, in addition to myself, need clarity with regard to who's on point with who. And so when we start off the year with our strategic plan, myself and my leadership team actually appoint ourselves to our internal clients so that we know within our team who's on point and who's that internal client go to. And then also between us, we can share the right level of content and understanding. So I literally have a spreadsheet that identifies those points of contact for our team members and for myself so that my team knows who I'm engaging with at what level, so that we can reinforce for one another the key strategies and messages we want to bring across as a team.
I think a lot of organizations kind of skip over that part and make assumptions about who those internal sponsors are, and especially because in a large organization, it can be political and you have people who have the title, but then you have the people who actually are the influencers and are in charge. What's some of the advice maybe that you'd give me, Wendy, on how to navigate the political atmosphere of the business I'm in? Where should I go first?
That's a toughie, Kurt. Where should you go first? I just met with a new director, peer leader of mine, actually yesterday. And, I think it was important for that individual right away to understand how we partner and how we partner to bring things to market. And so part of where to go first and what I offer people in terms of helping to navigate is A, understanding who your point person is, and then B, for us to have a peer-to-peer conversation in some ways about leadership, right? Where is there alignment that I'm already seeing, or where we have an opportunity to bring the story together in partnership with one another as peers at a director level? That's no easy task, I think, given that across an organization like Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota, there are 3,000 employees. As you might imagine, there are multiple directors within the organization. And so you really do, I think, have to be diligent about saying, how long has it been since I met with so-and-so? How long has it been since I connected back with this person, so that you can help them navigate. It has to be deliberate.
I've even coached people to put a calendar reminder on every 6 weeks to reach out to this person that if you haven't talked to them in a while, just to reconnect and make sure there's still alignment. There's nothing new that they need from you, or areas where they feel like maybe you're not delivering. Because like you said, in an organization, a large organization, a lot of times you're getting that feedback not directly from that peer, but you're hearing it through side conversations and other things. And having that deliberate touch point, I think, is super valuable.
True. I mean, it's actually one of the things, admittedly, I haven't been the best at. And when I get heads down and busy, just like you said, if I don't have the calendar date out there to check in with that individual, I might miss it.
Yep. How have you found the best way to approach keeping track of where everything is at and how it's being managed across all those different channels?
There's a couple of things that we tactically do. I think, our annual plan brings us focus as a team immediately. So we know, okay, this isn't in the plan. Why are we working on it? I think that's one guardrail. I think another guardrail is thinking about your marketing team or organization as a general contractor. You are never going to be able to do everything that the organization is asking of you. Mm-hmm. And every person, right, who you come in contact with is really creating a brand touch point with your team. So you have to think about, how can I be the best general contractor to enable the organization to do the work or self-serve? So, right, those simple things like the brand side, or simply knowing who to go to within the marketing organization, is helpful. And then challenging your team to think harder about, how do I take what I've already made and give it out and, allow for it to be reused.
What's some techniques maybe that have helped you in the past for managing a person who's got a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, but at the same point, they have to balance them with the current business needs? What are some ways that you've coached people in the past around that?
Yeah, I'm going to go back again to focus. And some of that has to start with when a new employee starts with your organization. As a leader, I've developed onboarding plans and regimens that not only acclimate the team member to the department, right, their stakeholders and so on, but also to the plan that we're creating. This is our mission. Our mission number one is to make health easy and connected for everyone. How do we make health easy and connected, right? How do you translate that day-to-day, Chelsea, Will, whomever's on your team, and give them that lens through which to look, but then be really clear about the guardrails of that role and where the opportunity to go off path to the whole of the overarching plan for the year or not exists. And I think that accountability really is on the leader and on managers to provide that, because you surely don't want to squander energy. You want to empower it, but I think what you're alluding to is that can quickly get out of control. So those check-in conversations early on in the onboarding process of a new employee really, really are critical to give feedback.
So what are some examples of that onboarding, if you don't mind unpacking that a little bit more? I think people would find that extremely interesting. What's some of the cadence around that? Is it meetings? Is it presentations? Is it having a work buddy? How have you found the best way to do that onboarding?
Yeah, you've touched on a few of the items. We used to assign a work buddy, and we generally leave that, I would say, now to the manager. But what we've developed by each individual role within department is basically a shell of an onboarding plan that has multiple phases. And those phases are intended to not only help people meet with people in the organization and get to know them relative to their role, but we also include the cadence and pattern for technical training that needs to happen, what needs to go in our system to make sure we can find that marketing job later on, and then what are the processes that individual needs to learn. So we're going to think through training and education related to the line of business that individual supports, their technical training, the team that they're a part of, and then the cadence of the department. So we actually had to put that in place as a team and ask individuals who generally, I would say in the beginning, almost by accident, helped to onboard people. We asked them to be part of the process to create that plan. If I'm a new person, if I'm a new employee, day one, what would I like to see happen? And now it's just a part of our process. When we have someone accept the offer, the hiring manager completes their onboarding template and goes through perhaps a 3 to 4 week process. And then they also do a 30, 60, 90-day plan to give that person shape and scope to their role.
When you're doing that onboarding, I'm guessing a lot of it not just has to deal with what your department's doing. I think you touched on it there, where you're also spending some time learning what the other departments are doing, how the other support systems within the organization are working together as well.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those areas for us is our consumer and digital experience team. So my team has brand and engagement marketing. Consumer and digital experience really speaks to our 9 consumer touch points. And I think the piece of content you're referring to is foundational content that people need to understand that helps them put the shape of their work in context of our customers. Where is that consumer in the journey? So a good example of that is I might have a team member who is helping to pitch 3M or a new organization on whether or not they're going to select the Blue Cross health plan, but they have to think all the way through to the member of plan research and selection and when that member is going to be making that choice and relate to that employer how we're going to help them do that. And so that's really foundational. Those 9 consumer touch points, 6, 5, however many are unique to your business, have to come forward so that that person has the same lens across the teams.
How are you finding it best that you're working across these areas with something like an IT department where they're providing a lot of support?
I think 2 things. It's relational and it's technical. As you might imagine, I'm really good at the relational. Let's go find that team member who's in charge of X, Y, and Z, and let's partner with them to execute on whatever that microsite strategy needs to be, because I'm not really sure where that should get hooked in. And then what are all the technical capabilities behind that? I have no problem, seeking that person out within the organization. And I think that's a task within itself that you have to be willing to do now more than ever in our arena. And then secondarily, the technical part, I think, comes down to the type of skill sets we're going to need and ask for from marketing professionals going forward. There's going to be baseline lingo that today you and I might not know, but in 2 to 3 years, maybe even shorter, right? Everything keeps moving faster.
It does. We
have to keep up to speed on the change. And we can't really function without IT anymore to be successful. We just can't.
Some people are very process driven. They need a set of check marks before they will engage. Other people have a lot more gumption and just jump right over process just to get things done. How do you personally find that balance, and how do you coach other people around having that balance between following internal processes versus just getting out of your chair and going and talking to that person? I
think first you have to respect the process, and I'll be the first one often to want to jump around it. But if you don't respect it, you sometimes lose that immediate trust that you need from the individual you ultimately need to partner with. So I like to go to thinking about, just like you do in marketing all the time, who's my audience and what's their WIFM? What's in it for them or for me? And do we have a mutual objective that we could share that I can start the conversation with, that then brings us each A, little bit more passion day to day, B, a little bit more satisfaction, and if we're lucky, a little bit of fun.
What would some advice you'd give somebody maybe in an IT department or another department on how to best work with the marketing department?
When I think about addressing the needs of an IT professional who might be partnering with someone in marketing, the question or the way I like to think about things is a scale of 1 to 10. Each marketing organization is in some realm of sophistication, right? We're either still sending out massive direct mail. We've maybe done a text or 2, and that puts us on the 1 of a scale of 1 to 10. On the 10 side, right, we are responding to marketing automation insights. We are drawing all of our campaign ideation from consumer insights in the beginning, so on and so forth. And I think if we can start the conversation about where we are on a continuum,